Hey everyone, Pinko Anna here, and today I'm actually going to be doing something a bit different. Normally, as you would know, I'd either live stream and usually when I live stream, we would do a build from scratch. Well, today I am going to show you a very special build that I have already created. And excuse me a minute. Sorry, a frog in my throat. I started off doing this very special, very secret build, and it was just a matter of, laying down the groundwork, seeing where it goes so I could do it live, but it just started turning out fantastic, and I was so in awe of it that I just kept going and going and couldn't stop. And in the end, it was just too special, too big, and if I had to pull it apart, I would have cried. So what I've decided I'm going to do instead is going to show you the build, like a little town tour, but I'm going to go through it in detail and talk about my thought processes, the design ideas, the things I used and why, just so that I can help you to maybe recreate to something just like it. So this special secret build started off with a conversation I had with Fletch. I said, Fletch, we need something somewhere in this town that can bring in new business, bring in lots of people, put this little town on the map. And Fletch, of course, said, Pink, just go for it. I trust you. You know what you're doing, just do it. And next, I decided I needed to speak to Clover, of course, because she was all part of the deal. We did some serious conferencing and we came up with a plan, got Clover on board. So this is where it starts. Now this here is Clover's flagship store that was built alongside my resort. And this is kind of what inspired me. I thought, well, Clover, you like a business venture as much as the next person, and your clothing lines are just what we need to start off this adventure. Now, if you see where we're walking up now, you might just be able to read this sign. Now, these conversations with Clover and Fletch came up with the following creation. That's right, the Jackaroo Park Event Centre. Because I decided what this town needed was a place to hold special events. Things that would bring in people to the resort, bring in the well-to-do, bring in lots of dollars, and yeah, like I said, put us on the map. And so the Jackaroo Park Event Centre was born. Now, what is Jackaroo Park, you would say? Well, you might be asking. This is Jackaroo Park. And it's a very special, very tranquil little park that I built in honour of a very special little being known as Frederick. Here you go, Frederick. This is for you. We all know that Dave from KD cut you down in your prime so viciously, so cruelly, and you were loved by all. So this is a place where your relatives, like that guy over there, and the human kind of people can come and sit and just ponder and have a quiet meditative moment to honour Frederick. And that's where Jackaroo Park came about. In fact, this is Jackaroo Park Drive that we're walking on. So enough on that. Back to the event centre. Now this is the car park. We needed lots of spaces, and like any very important centre, we had to have a nice little undercover place for the limos to pull up, all the important folk. And if you come back here before we show you inside, whoops, you'll see up there, Fashion Week. And this is where Clover came in. Whoops, I'm stuck. Clover and I decided that this town needed a Fashion Week extravaganza. And that, my friends, is what you're about to see. Right through these doors. And come on inside, up the red carpet. Here's your entry. Buy your tickets. Free wine for all the guests waiting for the show to start or just waiting to meet friends. Nice little spot over here. More free wine. Now we'll open up the special door and have a look at this. I am so excited by this build and so proud of what I made. This, my friends, is our event centre, all set up for Fashion Week. Now I'm going to just show you all around, and then we'll talk about how I put it all together. So we'll just do a quick turn around here. You can see the grand marble staircase that everybody enters by. Over here, it's a nice little bar where you can sit and have refreshments. On this side, you've got all the audience seating for the special event. And of course, in the front row, on each side, you have all the reserved spaces for the journalists, the cameramen, to get a front row seat of the fashion show. And this is where the models will be strutting their stuff up here. Not you, Mr. Magpie, you can't be in the show. Strutting their stuff on the catwalk. Down they'll come. In here. Oh, excuse me. Somebody got a little bit nervous. Here we've got places to put on your makeup, get all washed up fresh for the show. And of course, behind the screens we have all the outfits all picked out, ready to go. And I'm going to put away this piece of food. I believe the wildlife's broken in. That's a little bit awkward. Somebody's going to be laughing at me right now for carrying that. Now, up the stairs, up the red velvet stairs, you've got... Oh, excuse me, Mr. Roo. How did you even get in here? Are you the one? I'm sorry, guys, but, you know, we can't have random creatures messing up such a fine establishment. So, where was I? The VIP lounge, where the guests have their comfy couches, free wine, and cheese boards. Now up here, for those that pay top dollar, they get a special prime roast meal and dessert by candlelight. This, my friends, is where the big bucks come, because you also get a front row seat to the show below. while you dine on the finest dining available. We've even got a little romantic spot over here. A little seat for two. Or, you know, just for somebody that's had a little bit too much, needs a bit of quiet time. Okay, so let me start with telling you guys about how this creation started. Obviously, it had to be marble. Something this fancy couldn't be anything but. However, I wanted to add a bit of warehouse aesthetic. You'll often see this in a lot of modern day fancy restaurants and establishments where they have wooden panelling and the factory type lights that were left behind from the original building. You know, it's very trendy. So, of course, our centre, we decided had to cater for something like that. And the vine leaf, what do you call these? Partitions? Well, they just, as you'll see later in the day, they added to a little bit of a more intimate feeling. It dulls down the light a bit up here. It just gives it that, yeah, a little bit fancy, a little bit intimate look. And you'll see a lot of this at night. Now, to create such a really large space, I had to dig down from the ground as far down as I could go. This is the bottom step, guys. You can't dig any further down in Dinkum. And then around the walls, I built up almost as high as you could go. You could go one space higher. I didn't quite feel the need to go all the way up. But as I say, the wall panellings, if I come back down here and you look up, actually we'll go up here just to make it a little bit easier to see. Get up here. I made a lip at the top because that just sets apart the panels. Rather than being joined to the top, it makes them stand out. It just gives them that little bit of white space around them. And by having them sticking out, the lights then are indented, and the whole thing just adds that sense of three-dimensional, sense of reality to it. And of course, coming in here, I cut back the walls so that when you come here, you get that overall wow factor. When you first walk in, you just see that space and you just go, oh my gosh, look at that. So I just cut in a space on each side. And of course, well, you all know these are the kitchen benches put in reverse. They just look like a counter. I've used these lamps because to me they've got a sort of a greyish blue tinge, and they match really well with this stylish couch. And if you'll see down there, I've used all the stylish chairs. The thin chairs because they work well as seating, and the thicker chairs at the front because, you know, they're for the top priority visitors, the VIPs. They needed something a bit more comfortable. And then I've continued on the marble on the sides just to keep that fancy feel to it. And then underneath, I've used the pearl pathing because it gives it that kind of luxurious blue carpet feel underneath the seats, because, you know, we have to make it very fancy for our guests here. Now, I actually built this entire place before I put any floor in. Yep, I have to actually, apart from the stage in the middle, I had to pull everything up, all the seats and that, to put down the floor because I couldn't decide what to do. I wanted marble on the floor, but if it was fully marble, it was just going to be overdone with white, way too much white. And then I thought, oh, the red would be really nice because that's fancy. But then, given that we've got this, too much red. You need white space. You need this extra space here to break everything up. And my friend Leanne came over to help me out. She was having a look at it, and I said, I need to use red and white, but how am I going to do this? And she said, well, what about we make some borders? Now that's an awesome idea. So together we came up with this design that bordered on both sides, creates that symmetrical look and winds right the way round, and that breaks up the marble flooring, and it repeats the red that's on the middle area. So when you're doing design, one of the best features you can do with designing is using repeating of a design feature. So we've got the red here, and we've repeated on the floor, and then of course on the stairs over there, and of course on the carpet going out the front, up the top here, the red carpet as you walk in. So we've repeated that feature 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and that just carried, and up the top as well, so 5 times. It repeats that feature throughout. Now, lighting, as you're starting to see the lights come in, have a look at that. How amazing does it look? The lamps in the walls also worked to reflect all that light out of that little alcove. So it just throws that light around just beautifully. And of course, the fairy light walls. Well, this is where the action's happening. So you needed a wall of glitzy lights just to make the whole event just, bounce, just vibe. It had to be really glitzy. And of course, that's why we used the fancy rope, just to give, to show the guests where they walk, but also just to give it that bit of class. Now, when you're mixing your colour scheme or creating a colour scheme, one of the best things you can do is use colours that are opposite each other. If you look at a colour wheel, any colour wheel you will find on the internet, if you type in colour wheel, if you haven't seen one, the colours on opposite sides of a colour wheel are usually blue and orange, yellow and purple, red and green. And when you pair those two, they create the strongest contrast, and that's what makes things pop. And this is why, since I had all these blue chairs, why I made these panels in the gumwood, because the gumwood has that orange tinge to it. And that's why the blue seats and the orange partitions just pop. I tried using the dark wood, the hardwood, but it was too dark. I tried using the palm wood, but it was too light. It wasn't enough of a contrast. And then, of course, what are we doing? Repeating that design element. So we've got the gumwood in the steps as well as the partitions. I did actually try a gumwood arch, but because of the pattern in that archway, it didn't look solid enough as a door. And because we have dark wood elsewhere, I was able to repeat that pattern in other parts, like in these lanterns, the dark wood. So we have the dark wood repeated elsewhere, which was in it. Now, once again, the red from out there is repeated in here, in both the flooring areas. So once again, I've carried that red through, given the girls, or the boys, but today it's girls because it's all dresses, a bit of a nice little fancy area, bit of carpet. And now look at this. It's like makeup lights, the closest thing we can get in Dinkum to such. And the back wall here, I didn't use marble. It's a fancy wall, but the whole point of an event centre is that you can rearrange the space and recreate it, pull it apart, depending on the event. And that's why those walls don't go all the way to the top, and why they're a different material. They're made to look like partitions that have been put in place just for this event to create this special little bathroom area. And same with the floors, it's been all put in place just for this event. Now, lighting. Obviously, I had to use the repeat wall, these lights, I forget what they're called, the industrial looking lights, right throughout again. And they're warm. And I wanted to use the above lights to look like makeup lights. But then I wanted to repeat those bluey grey tinged lights, which are a bit cool. Now, when you have cool lights, they give a sense of, well, they make you feel a bit more alert when the lighting's cool. It's cool, it's calming, the cool. It makes you feel more awake, and so it gives the people that are dressing a sense of calm, helps them be alert while they're getting changed in a hurry, because you've got to do that sort of stuff quickly. And if you look down here, I've repeated that lamp here in the bar. Because working in the bar, you want that sense of calm, that, keeping the barman, the waiters, the wait staff alert, because they're going to be busy serving lots and lots of drinks. And also like a lot of bars, you'll see this cool lighting. It gives that sense of a calming, peaceful spot to come and sit and have a quiet drink. But in the rest of the place, it's all the warm lights, because warm lighting gives that energetic, vibrant feel when it's really bright, but it can also, and that's what we've done here on the runway. I've used the little torches because they throw the little circles of light. I don't have the kind of spotlights that you would have on a real runway, so that's the closest thing I could do to make that sense of the glitzy lights that light up the models as they're modelling their outfits. Now, if you come upstairs, now that it's dark, you'll see what I mean by the darker panels, the leaf panels, the vine panels, sorry, just added that little bit of a sense of, it's a little bit more intimate up here. It's a little bit darker. You've got the candlelit dinners. So it's given, a sense of intimacy. People upstairs feel a little bit important because, they're made to feel special up here. It's a little bit darker, a little bit more intimate. Now, I've faced the candlesticks outwards, even though if they were in the centre of the table, they would be probably facing the diners. Well, we can't place the candlestick in the middle. And the reason I face them outwards is because when you walk in the door over there, you look straight up and you see the candlesticks from a distance. And it just has that it all adds to that instant wow factor, that pop when you first look. Now, when you're setting up a table, look at that. I've got the red tablecloths. There's that red carrying through again. I've also used the same stylish chairs that match down below, so repeating that element again. And the chairs are made of dark wood, as is the table and the pillars, so you're repeating that dark wood element. Dark wood coffee tables, so lots and lots of dark wood being repeated throughout. You've got the nice plush purple couches, which are repeated up the other end. And on the colour wheel, when you put colours together that sit side by side on the colour wheel, some people refer them as colour friends because they sit next to each other. Well, red, blue and purple all sit next to each other on the colour wheel. And those colours are very calming and just give that sense of balance. Or it's kind of like, it's not as dramatic, it's not as contrasty. It adds a bit of calmness and just ties your build together really nicely. And you can see up here I've repeated that pathing that borders the tables this time. So acts as that border all the way around. Now once again, look at this, dark coffee tables. It's that dark wood. And they're the fancy type. So, you know, we've got to create that sense of chic, that sense of, you know, something special. It's very fancy, this place. People paid a lot of money to come to this fashion show. So everything has to be very fancy. You want to make your guests feel like all that money they spent was worth it. They need to feel like they've come to somewhere very special. Now, I'll just bring you up the top here. You can have another look now. It's really dark. Look at that. And if you just walked in for the first time from the dark, so here I've repeated that hardwood arch that's downstairs. So that's repeated again. If you just came in here for the first time at night, you're coming to a night out. Look at that. It's the wow factor, isn't it, guys? And for me, it just feels real. You can see the candlesticks I was talking about there. They stand out from back here. And I was so proud of this build. I feel like it's the best build I have ever created. And this is why you can imagine looking at it, I couldn't bear to pull this down and even attempt to recreate it perfectly. So I thought, you know what, I'll take this and I'll just show you exactly what I did and why I did it. Now up here, you're probably at about, well, I think ground level is probably that level over there. This is up a little bit higher again, up to the road. Actually, come to think of it, this probably was ground level here. Now, I added the bridges on top to give that VIP drive-through area, just in case it's raining or just the guests want to pull up and feel like they're a bit special. And I've repeated that pattern wall that's on the inside. So there's that element again. The red on the lamps in the car park is being carried through, and the bricks lining the edges is repeated in the brick roof on the car park area. The drive-through. You've got the red and blue on the balloons. Once again, I've repeated that element, you see. Here we've put the same couch in that same colour. It's not the fancy purple couch because this is just a waiting area. You're sitting here waiting for the show, waiting for your friends. So it's a fancy couch that fits a fancy foyer, but you know, it's not as comfortable for long time sitting where you want to get partying with your friends up there in the VIP lounge or sitting with a partner having an intimate dinner. But I've added that, repeated those lamps again, and that just adds that little cool, chic feeling that the cool lighting brings. Keeps the workers alert, keeps the people alert before the show starts, and adds a little touch of sophistication to this area. And there's those dark wood coffee tables, which is matching the dark wood furniture. I've put in the pot plants just to add a little bit of greenery. You see this one here's got it's got the red and blue in it again. And this has got the purple, so you've got that red, blue and purple that carry those three colour friends together. And everything, and that's why it all just ties together well. And I've used symmetry here in that the border is identical on both sides, as are the chairs and the runway. Everything is symmetrical. But you don't want everything to be symmetrical in a build or it gets boring. So that's why I built the grandstand on one side, or the seating, the wall seating, the tiered seating. Which when you stand up here, well, look, you can still, it's hard to look, but yes, you can get a really nice view of the runway from up here. And then on the other side, I created that wall because you're bringing in a bit of what's called asymmetry, which is like it's opposite of symmetry. It's breaking up the symmetrical nature, which gives you a little bit more adds a bit more interest. What else did I want to tell you about? I had that feeling you get when you build something that you just know is right. Jersey talks about it. You'll just know in your heart when it works because you'll love it so much. And guys, I have not stopped walking around this build, looking at it from every angle, from all the tops of all the roofs, just walking around, just taking it all in and just loving it. I'm just so excited by it. I couldn't wait to share it with you. Here's that little rope fence because we have to keep our guests safe, but also make them feel special. They're up in the roped off section. They're up the top where, only those that pay bigger dollars get to come and sit. And of course, this is for the party goers or those that just want a bit of a comfy, intimate spot to sit together and cozy up while the show's on. Now, also, when you come to designing, as well as building layers forwards, you've got the back panel of behind the lamps of marble wall. Then you've got this panel of the gumwood, and you've got the panel of the ivy, one in front of the other. Because it's layered, you're creating interest. Each layer is slightly different height too. That's why I built the marble layer up one, because the 3 different heights, it just creates that interest. The tiers in the different heights. And once again, see the vine fence? The vine. I forget what you call this thing. I've got a mental blank, but if you have a look at the bar, I've repeated it. See? Repeating elements over there. I'm going to do a dive. Whoa. I've had that interest here. And putting one each side, we've got a bit of symmetry again. We've balanced out the bar with the 2 sides and the lamp in the middle. And once again, you've got your layers. See? You've got the back layer of the marble, then the lamp. You've got your panelling of your gumwood. And then you've got your vine panels. And they're all different heights again, as are the seats. So it's all adding interest by adding these different heights. And of course the cat walks up higher. Well, that's obvious. But yeah, this level up here is just up that little bit higher again. So once again, you're adding interest by adding different height into the build. And so even though that was meant to look like artificial walls that have been added in, it also adds that interest of height. Oh, get out, get out, get out. No riffraff in here. Come on, be gone with you. This is why I usually keep the door shut, to try and keep them out, though it doesn't really stop them, to be honest. But let's have a jump up here and have a look from up here. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? I'm still pinching myself of how it came together. I'm just so thrilled. Talk about your glitz and glamour. And because I took the time, and seriously 2 days of just working all day, so probably about 16 hours of solid designing and creating to build this. I dug down, I dug out, and if you think, wow, you just, you're an incredible designer, Pink. No, I tried every different combination. I tried the dark wood, I tried the palm wood, I tried different heights. Everything you see here, I tried different furniture. Everything took time to experiment and figure it out. Of course, I put the sign up here. Now, what was the other thing I was going to say? That's right. So on the tables, Leanne said to me, wouldn't you put their meals opposite each other so they can gaze longingly into each other's eyes? Well, yeah, that sounds good, but for design purposes, having the dinners diagonal and the other elements diagonal, just, it balances out the way the composition looks. It gives, when you put things on a diagonal, it makes them more dynamic. And that's why the tablecloths are put at a diagonal, because it creates a dynamic feel. And I just love this so much. I love to stroke my stuff on the catwalk. And of course, I used the selfie cameras because then they look like the photographers are all set up, ready to film the show. Look at that looking back up there. Even though that was designed to give you that wow factor when you walk in, it also, the different levels, the layering of the entry creates that wow factor when you look out. So that when you create something that just works, you know it, because it doesn't matter what angle you look at it from, you just go, wow, this just looks amazing. I love this. Now, one thing I did do over here that I just remembered I will show you. This is getting a bit tricky. Even though I made this partition wall, I realised I had to put one wall higher here, because you know what was going to happen? All these partygoers on the lounge were going to be able to perv straight in on the poor ladies getting dressed, getting changed for the show. So once again, you've got to think about practicalities. You've got to think about, well, what would this be in real life? What would be necessary for the design? But it still looks like a cutout wall that could be made even out of foam, like foam that looks like fancy stone that's been put in here just for this event. And that was the idea behind the event centre. Now, naturally, with a build like this, I don't think I will actually ever pull it down because of the work I put in. But who knows? I may build extra buildings on to the event centre and create other builds. But for now, this is my first one, and I'm so excited, and I couldn't wait to show it to you. Back out to the car park. There's that pesky little freeloader. Go away, Mr. Freeloader. I don't want you in there mucking up the place. Now, on the sides, coming in here, I made the roads 3 wide, of course, and then you want to leave enough room to drive in. That's why I put the diagonal steps here. Enough space to reverse, turn big cars. I had to push this wall right out here so that there was room to drive around on the outside, all through the middle. And this is all symmetrical at the front as well. Oh, Mr. Roo. seriously. You're just going to be the death of me. If you're not careful, I'll be the death of you. I'll get out that sword of mine. But there's the sign, Fashion Week. In our little car park, we've repeated those little stone pillar spots even too. So everything just ties back in. I cut out these corners to take away that really squared off look, but also so I could add some light out here and repeat that alcoved lighting effect that I've got on the inside. So once again, repeating elements. So you can build that, and then you can just take your shovel and just dig out until you get down to the bottom, and then of course fill it in that way. Now I would have used three bridges across, but then I would not have been able to put these lights here, these balloons here, or this arch here. So for this design, to make it look authentic, you stand here, it just looks like a drive-through garage, the VIP area. And they often have open pillars like this, as I'm sure you'd know. So there you go, guys. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I've helped you understand my thought process and how I went about putting it together. I even originally just had it built to here, and I went, no, you can't just walk in like that. There has to be something else. So I built this part on later. And then the next day again, I built the car park, the drive-through car park area as a later addition. I also, when I originally dug out this space, this big giant rectangular block cut out, it only went to the side where those the fairy light walls are. And I realised when I originally just laid down the tiles on the ground for the T of the runway, because that was the chief feature, and then started to put down blocks of dirt for where the seating on the side, the tiered seating would go. And I realised then that it wasn't going to be enough. So I went, okay, I'm going to need to dig more out. And I got about halfway down. I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a raised area. So I had to dig that whole area out next. So as I said, it's always a work in progress. Then I had to dig out further, because once I started building, I'm just going to eat something. Trusty sausage roll does the trick. Originally, I only had this area came to here, and I said, that's not going to be enough. So I had to dig out more of the hole, push the wall back. I had the wall here. I had to push the wall back. You know how many times I've pushed walls back, guys? It's taken me hours. But of course, we needed a dressing area. And that, once again, see, I've put it up a step, because raising that step just adds to the realness of it, the genuineness of it, but also adds to the interest. So yeah, I've been pushing back walls, rearranging walls, rearranging everything to get it working just right. Now you can see now that it's really dark. You can see that nice, more intimate feel up here that those vine panels make. And you look out over here again, you can still see all the glitz and glamour that's happening below while you enjoy that nice roast dinner. So that's it. I hope you have enjoyed my little presentation. Thank you, everybody, for coming along to watch. And please give me a like if you've enjoyed this. Please subscribe, because I look forward to making more amazing builds like this. This is my first really huge build all in one, and I think it's turned out pretty good. And if you liked it, I want to hear. Please, I've never asked this before, but please leave a comment, because I really want to know if you really loved it. Did this give you the wow factor that I feel that it did? I want to know. I want to hear what you thought of it. And if you'd like me to do some more builds like this, please tell me all about it in the comments. Give me some suggestions. What would you like me to see be built? And yes, if you could subscribe, that would be fantastic, so I can help my channel grow. I would be so grateful. Thank you, one and all, for coming along and being here for this. It was my pleasure to show everybody what I created. And I'll see you again soon. Bye, everybody.